Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hi everyone, how are you doing? I hope you are doing well. I am Karmila Indah Huda. I would like to present about the task of receptive skills. Tasks of receptive skills are known as passive skills because the learners do not need to produce language to do this. They receive and understand it. There are two kinds of receptive skills: listening and reading skills. The first is assessing of listening. Listening is the active process of receiving and responding to spoken message. In designing appropriate assessment tasks in listening, we have to know the objective or criteria of the task. Here are the objective of listening tasks. The first, comprehending of surface structure elements such as phonemes, words, intonation, or grammatical context. The second, understanding of pragmatic context. The third, determining meaning of auditory input. The last, developing the gist, a global or comprehensive understanding. There are four types in designing listening assessment: intensive, responsive, selective, and extensive. The first is designing assessment tasks, intensive listening. Listening for perception of the components, such as phonemes, words, intonation, discourse markers, and etc., of a larger stretch of language. A form of the task can be done by recognizing phonological and morphological elements and paraphrase recognition. Here are the examples of intensive listening. You can see the pictures below. The second is designing assessment tasks, responsive listening. A questions and answer format can be made by multiple choice or open-ended framework in which the test takers write or speak the response. You can see the pictures below. The third is designing assessment tasks, selective listening. Selective listening is in which the test takers listen to limited quantity of oral input and must discern within some specific information. Here are some techniques which have been used in selective listening. There are two kinds: listening close and information transfer. Listening close require the test takers to listen to story or conversation and read the written text in which selected words or phrases have been deleted. You can see the pictures below. The second, information transfer. Information technique in which process information must be transferred to a visual presentation such as diagram, picture, or showing roads on a map. You can see the picture below. The last is designing assessment tasks, extensive listening. Extensive listening is all types of listening activities that allow the learners to receive a lot of comprehensible and enjoyable listening input. There are two forms of extensive listening. The first is dictation. In a dictation, the test takers hear a passage about 50 to 100 words, then they wrote down what they have just read. Here is the example. The second example of extensive listening is communicative stimulus response task. This is popular genre of assessment task in which the test taker is presented a stimulus monologue or conversation and is asked to respond to a set of comprehension questions. Here is the example. The second receptive scale is assessing of reading. For assessing the reading comprehension, the teacher or tutor must have also communicative competence or knowledge so that it could ease to teacher in determining the assessment of students' reading comprehension. Some aspects also have to be paid attention by teacher, which it would be useful for teacher in assessing the reading comprehension. There are four types in designing reading assessment: perceptive, selective, interactive, and extensive. The first is designing assessment tasks, perceptive reading. Perceptive reading requires students to process separate letter, words, punctuation, and other grapheme symbols of larger stretches of discourse. There are four types. The first, reading aloud. The test taker sees separate letter, words, or short sentences and read them aloud one by one. The second, read and response. The same stimuli are presented and the test taker's task is to reproduce the probe in writing. The third kind is multiple choice. Multiple choice response are not only a matter of choosing one of four or five possible answers. It is especially useful at the low levels of readings. You can see the picture. The last, picture cued items. The test takers are shown a picture along with a written text. You can see the picture. The second, designing assessment task, selective reading. Selective reading involves looking a reader's ability to recognize grammar, discourse features. There are five kinds of this task. The first, multiple choice, four form focus criteria. Multiple choice item may have little context, but it might serve as a vocabulary or grammar check. You can see the pictures. The second, matching task. The test taker's task is simply to respond correctly, which makes matching an appropriate format. You can see the pictures. The third example is editing task. Editing for grammatical or rhetorical errors is a widely used task method for assessing linguistic competence in reading. You can see the pictures. The fourth, picture cue task. Pictures and photographs may be equally well utilized for examining ability at this design. You can see the picture. The last type is gap filling task. This task is to create sentence completion items in which the test takers read part of a sentence and then complete it by writing a phrase. You can see the picture below. The third is designing assessment tasks, interactive reading. Interactive reading involves deriving meaning from the text. The readings are also more authentic in nature and can include announcements, direction, and recipes. There are five types in interactive reading. The first is closed task. A closed task is an exercise, task, or assessment consisting of a portion of language with certain items words, or sign removed, where the participant is asked to replace the missing language item. Closed tasks are usually a minimum of 2 paragraphs in length. The second, short answer task. In this type of task, a reading passage is presented and test takers read questions that must be answered in a sentence or two. The third kind is impromptu reading plus comprehension questions. This kind of task gets test takers to read a passage and answer a set of questions. The questions item cover the comprehension of features such as main ideas, expression, idiom, phrase in context, inference, grammatical features, details, unstated details, supporting ideas, and vocabulary in context. The fourth kind is editing longer text. The task stimulates proofreading once on one essay, where it is imperative to find and correct the errors. You can see the picture. The fifth, scanning. Assessment of scanning is carried out by presenting task takers with a text and requiring rapid identification of relevant bits of information. The last is ordering task. In ordering tasks, as the name implies, students receive little strip of paper, each with a sentence on it, and then structure them into a story. The last of assessing reading is designing assessment task, extensive reading. In an extensive reading program, the test takers are reading principally for the content of the text. Teacher can ask them about the books they are reading informally through skimming task. Skimming is the process of rapid reading to determine the gist or main idea. You can see the pictures. The second, summarizing and responding. Two of the most common of assessing extensive reading are to ask the test takers to write a summary of the text or to ask them to respond to text. You can see the pictures. The last is note-taking and outlining. In this assessment, the test taker should write key information, include main idea and supporting details. Thank you so much everyone for your nice attention. If you have a question, you can drop it into Google Classroom. I'll see you.